Welcome back to Real Talk About Feminism. It's been a few weeks. We are excited to be back with a guest today.
We had such a great conversation with Susie. I'm going to introduce her and then we'll get into the episode. Susie Taaffe is the CEO and founder of Skanties, anti-shapewear, dedicated to empowering women to embrace their natural form, reject unnatural beauty standards, and celebrate their unique and beautiful bodies. Susie is at the forefront of the anti-shapewear movement, which rejects prolonged body compression and the use of non-breathable synthetic materials that can have harmful effects. With her decade experience working as an engineer and having designed and manufactured her own maternity clothing brand, Susie successfully launched Skanties in the Australian market in 2019 as a single mother of 3 young children. Beyond her accomplishments, what defines Susie is her empathetic understanding of people's struggles with self-confidence and body image. From her shy days in primary school to her battle with body image, she has found strength in vulnerability. Her goals extend beyond selling a product. She is building a movement, helping people appreciate their bodies as they are, and empowering them to feel good from the inside out. Having launched Skanties in the US market in 2023, Susie continues to expand this global movement, remaining dedicated to helping women reclaim their feminine power through fashion and to empower people to love themselves from the inside out.
Susie was so fun. We had a great conversation, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy this episode.
Yes, we talked about a lot of different aspects about life and her business, being a mother, her personal self-love journey, and finding herself. And it's a really great conversation. So let's start. Thank you so much for coming to Real Talk About Feminism. We're so excited to talk to you today.
Thank you so much, Mackenzie and Haley, for having me here today.
Yes. Well, let's start with what I'm guessing is a pretty defining moment in your life and what I'm guessing kind of launched your business. But you mentioned in your bio that your husband left at one point. You had 3 young kids to take care of. And it kind of sounded like this was leading up to the birth of Skanties. So can you kind of talk about what your thought process was at that time? Were you kind of thinking about Skanties and then this happened and you're like, okay, this is the time to go for it?
So I suppose I'd made Skanties for myself about, I think it was probably nearly 8 years prior to that. And I'd just been wearing them and getting along with my life, not really thinking other people needed them. And then a few friends asked me about, well, what are you wearing with skirts and dresses? How are you feeling comfortable not getting chafed, not et cetera, all of these issues. And so I made them for a couple of friends and I had that sort of, this might be a commercial viability. So then when I actually became a single mom and the marriage broke down, it was quite sort of unexpected. I hadn't planned that. We were like the golden couple. Do you know what I mean? Like the couple you expect to be together forever. We were together since we were 20, like married at 28, kids at 30. Like it was sort of like that. It was the textbook fairy tale, inverted commas. So it was sort of, I was thinking, what can I do? When you go through something like that, you start questioning life a little bit. I suppose they call it a little bit the dark night of the soul, or just like, midlife crisis, any of the above. And so you do start to question, what's it all about? Like, what is life all about? And so I thought, I could. So when we split up, it was still okay. He still had, his business was still operating. He was supporting us. And so I thought, I could do this as sort of like a hobby thing. I know it helps women and that will be great. But what happened was then 6 months later, his business went bankrupt. He had to leave the state. I was left with 3 kids, like 5, 3, and 1. I think they were a little bit 6, 3, and 2 or something. So still
That's
pretty
so
young. It was only 6 months later. And so that's when the rug really was ripped out from underneath me. And that's when I was okay. And it was sort of like the most clear epiphany that you could possibly have. And it was, I don't know if it's probably now, a psychologist would probably have another terminology for it. Insanity maybe. But it was just like, I had to funnel all of that, I suppose. When something like that happens, everything gets ripped out from underneath you and nothing is certain. So I think that the decision, it literally happened on the day I found out. It was like, right, okay, I am going to make this into a global business. This is going to not be a hobby. It is going to be huge. And I think it was the one thing I could cling on to if I now if I now look back on it in reflection, because it's madness to do that with three young kids. I sat there and pulled all the frequent flyer points we still had a joint frequent flyer account, pulled them all and booked 3 trips to China. So I was like, right, I'm doing it. And the trips to China, and I've noticed this is something I do, I use things like that, milestones like that, which you can't really wiggle out of because they're in a set defined time. So that time comes and that flight is on that day. And frequent flyer points, well, in Australia, you can't change them very easily. Like, it is it. You can cancel it easily, but you can't change it easily. So it was sort of like I drew myself 3 lines in the sand, and it was this day, I think it was April, August, and October, 3 dates that year. And so the first one I went on, and I will preface this with, I had worked in China. I knew China in my 20s with my sister. So it wasn't I didn't just fly off into a country
Yeah.
because then I really need my head checked. But I did actually know it. But I hadn't been there for about 8 or 9 years. So on that first flight, I'm not sure if you've seen the movie Joy. It's
I've seen
do you
half
remember
of
that
it.
from 2016? I think it was pretty
Yeah.
brand new, and it's about a single mom who is making this invention. It's a ringable mop, I think, and how she's got no money, everything is a disaster, everything turns out terribly, and then obviously she eventually makes it a success. I think she becomes the queen of a QVC style show type thing. And anyway, I am on this plane with tears just streaming down my face, going, I don't know what I'm doing. No, like, it was the epitome of jumping out of a plane without a parachute and trying to figure out how we were going to land mid free fall.
Oh my gosh. That is a lot. And that's like very overwhelming, but exciting. And there's like so many different elements to it. So how, if, since it was such a difficult thing, obviously, like owning a business while having kids, while being a single mom, like all of that, was there anything specific that you like found within yourself to help get you through that, or any like sort of motivation other than like the business?
Definitely. And so I worked for probably, that was 2016. I worked until the end of 2020, another job as well. So I was doing this as like a
Okay.
side hustle and working at the same time to try and to build it up. And I had a few really big fails, like faulty stock, the whole thing had to be thrown out, that sort of
Oh my
big
gosh.
fails. And the thing that I had enough people wearing them at that stage though, and I knew how much confidence they gave women back. And so I suppose I had this inner trust and drive that a product that can help bring women's confidence back in that way has to succeed. Like, its purpose is so soul driven that it was sort of like I had that North Star metric where it helps people feel better about themselves. So this has to work. So I suppose, and I sat on my kitchen floor crying. I still sit on my
Oh,
kitchen floor crying.
don't we all?
I, I have a little crying stool actually,
Oh.
right next to the Tupperware drawer. And it's like, it just brings you to your knees. But it is just in that I think you have to, when you need to get through those times, if you know your purpose is so true and honest, I suppose, it will help you move forward, if that makes sense. And so I think that that's probably my biggest advice is find something that gives you that North Star, that North metric to hold on to. I think another big thing that gets you through is not only was it trust in that it was helping people, it was also there was a trust in myself that I could get through it. And I suppose there's a little thing that I've always done when I've been trying to get through hard times, and it's sort of looking at time and how time doesn't stop and time keeps moving. So as long as you keep putting one movement in front of the other movement in front of the other, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you will get through it. So even if I have a really tough couple of days and I love lists, so I'll itemize it all down, I sort of do that sideline thought process of time keeps going, if you just keep slowly moving through all of this, you will get through it, because it's just, you will.
Yeah, it's
You know what I
inevitable.
mean? It's
Yeah.
exactly.
It's so true. I think things do get easier with time. Like thinking back on any hard periods in my life, and I think most people can relate, like you get to be a few years past it and you're like, wow, that happened. And I'm okay. Like I'm getting through it. I really love how you believe so much in your product, because I think that's why it's so successful. Like the best products and the best businesses, I think it's because the founder and the owner, like they believe in it so heavily and you're so passionate about it. And you said it worked for you. Like this had been years that you were experiencing the product, if you could say. And so you believed in it and you knew that it gave you confidence. And so you made it happen.
Oh, definitely. And and now I actually say the product is actually just a physical tool and it's my excuse to talk. But really, what my passion is about helping women gain their confidence back, basically. So the product is just one aspect of the sort of 360-degree view. Like that solves the physical problems, but there's also the emotional and then the mental side of things that goes with it. So what I say is the product, because it solves pain points for women that make them feel bad about themselves. It's like a physical thing that's switching off the negative chatter, the loop of
Mm-hmm.
negative
Mhm.
self-talk. So if we can, like, so say, I'm not sure if you've ever gotten chafe, but if
Oh,
you got
yeah.
Yeah.
chafe, it does. And does it make you feel good about yourself? Does
No.
it, like, the thought process in your mind is not, oh wow, I'm having a great body day today. It's sort of like, oh, it hurts. And so
Yeah.
it's like a physical pain that makes you go, brings up all the things that are wrong with you, doesn't it? Like we're so quick to turn our inner self talk into like blame our body for it, don't we? We use our physical 3D body to slam all of our negative stuff that we feel on our inside, which I find that parallel so interesting. And I'm just loving how many people are starting to talk out about that. And from when I grew up, the world has completely changed in that you can find so many body positive people to follow and change that conversation. And I say for my generation, it's an ongoing process, but I definitely think for my daughter's generation and my son's generation, it's becoming a whole lot more normalized to not feel bad about yourself, which I just think is just such positive steps forward. And I think it's our generation changing our language with ourselves so they're not seeing it modeled in their daily lives. So they don't, a baby doesn't think, oh, my fat rolls are bad, do they? Like they
No.
don't
Exactly.
know to think that. And we all think they're so cute. So if our children, when they're growing up, see that modeled as well, then they have no reason to think that that's bad and not just a normal body.
Yeah, I love that the narrative is changing with that because it's so important. I have many, many thoughts about this movement and people's opinions on it changing because it's so important. And definitely as women, we all have stories of low self esteem and body confidence issues and like our personal self love journeys. And I love that that's what your product is conveying. Like it's not necessarily the product, but it's like the emotion behind it. Can you elaborate a little bit on how it helps boost women's confidence? Like, have customers written reviews and like explained how it's helped them?
Definitely. A lot. So probably I would start with the people who literally wouldn't wear dresses and skirts because they would get chafe and it was uncomfortable and they couldn't find a product that wasn't uncomfortable or hot or rolling down and more annoying. So they literally took a whole category of clothing out of their repertoire because they felt too uncomfortable out of it. So that would be my first baseline of customers who are just like, I can wear skirts and dresses in summer and I feel fantastic.
Oh,
They're fantastic in super, super hot weather. So traveling in Asian countries or anywhere that's super hot, like music festivals or the tennis or sporting events, those sorts of things. Even the girls at school in Australia, we wear uniforms. So under their school uniforms because it's so hot and sticky. So definitely I think the ability to even just open up a clothing category for women is absolutely massive. And then we've also had, which was just absolutely thrills me to pieces, a few extra categories that I had never even envisaged at the time. I knew that you could wear them through pregnancy because I wore them through my pregnancies. But so that ability for them to adapt, so you could be 2 sizes bigger, 3 sizes bigger, and they will stretch out like a yoga pant and then stretch back in.
Oh,
So that opens the world for anyone undergoing IVF or hysterectomies, or if you have a DNC or any general bloating. I've had people who are going through gender affirmation surgery. I've had people on like transitioning with HRT, and their bodies are changing. And so they're not used to the different bodies. So the product supports them through that. So that is just fantastic.
wow.
That's really
People
cool.
in the ostomy community. So anyone that has an ostomy bag, I just had a Zoom call with a lovely lady in Ireland who just said, your product is the absolute hands down best product for any woman with an ostomy bag. And she showed me where it sits, and she told me all the technical reasons why it was so good. As the bag fills up, because the product has flex, it can expand with it. And so then lots of the issues that they can get with other products don't exist. So being able to help that section of the community, and she says, it's the only product she can wear that will help her wear the form-fitting clothes. So if she's got like a bridesmaid's dress or something that's fitted, she said, your product, she showed me how it all sat and everything. And being able to help women, especially when they're new ostomates and they're getting used to a new way of life, being able to give them the confidence to wear, oh, I've got goosebumps,
I know, so do
wear
I.
things that they wear things and feel good about themselves with their new circumstances and situation. Like that you can see the why. There's just so many, the why is so clear to help, and the helping that it's doing is just absolutely, it was, I didn't even imagine that it could help this many people, and I'm so proud that it can.
I think that's so amazing. I know, like in fashion, or I guess like with undergarments and stuff, accessibility is something that is not done super well, in my opinion. And so just hearing like all of those different groups of people who could be using these, I just think that is amazing. And I think that is something to be super proud of, for having all of these different groups and types of people that can use your product.
Oh, 100%. To be able to help such a broad range of people, it makes my heart sing. Yeah, I've got goosebumps like 10 times now.
Oh, I love it. We're going to take a quick break to talk about our sponsor, BetterHelp.
It's 2023, and it's time to really prioritize our mental health this year. No matter where you are in life, everyone can benefit from therapy. Whether you need to work through trauma or just need a safe person to talk to, BetterHelp is here for you. BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy service. Get matched with a professional licensed therapist in your state who you can trust. BetterHelp has options to communicate with your therapist via chat, email, or video, and you can message them at any time to get help. BetterHelp is giving our listeners 10% off if you sign up using the link in our show notes. If you're struggling with depression, anxiety, relationships, trauma, grief, or just need someone to talk to, try BetterHelp today by clicking the link in our show notes or go to betterhelp.com/RTAFpod to get 10% off today. Yeah, can you speak a little bit too about how your life has changed, like with the business and your personal life as well, if that makes sense? Like from that defining moment of your life, from when you went to China with your kids and you were like, I'm going to do this, Skanties is going to be a global business, from where you are now.
So, just to preface, I did not take the toddlers to China with me.
Okay. So you booked the 3 separate flights for yourself?
Yeah, 3 separate flights for me.
Because in my head, I was like, that sounds kind of fun, actually.
Yes, so I am not Wonder Woman. I am not actually magical. No, I was lucky enough to well, I think I actually did them in very pretty short trips. I think they're only like 3 or 4 days at a time, so they were very quick. It was like in, out, in, out, in, out. How has my life changed? Well, I think I have grown as a person so enormously. Like, I think I've had so many crossroads where I've had to dig so deep to keep down this path. And I suppose so many times when I've been at the lowest of the low. And I suppose what I've learned really well is how to pick myself back up. I think that's what's probably allowed me to get to where I am. and learning. And I suppose to learn, like some of the lows have been very, very, very low. And so the learning to appreciate small things, you sort of have to, I call it my magic toolbox. And it's the things I know when I'm in a low, what I need to do to claw myself back out. That can sometimes, like, that could be just actually sleep. Sometimes sleep is your number one thing. Like, I remember one time I was at my other job and juggling kids and the other job and the business, and I was having a poor me moment, like, oh my God, my life's so hard. And I said, okay, well, write down everything you would want right now. I was like, I want to go away to a nice hotel, and I want air conditioning and a nice big bed. And anyway, I drilled it down. I was like, darling, you're just tired.
Basically.
You're just tired. So I think that day I went home from work and we all went to bed at 6:00. So sometimes you've just even got to recognize you just might be tired. And when things are overwhelming, if you're tired, you can't handle anything. You cannot do a thing. You are just better off to just clear the deck and have some rest. So I think definitely, and allowing yourself to be, it's okay to be tired and it's okay to need rest and it's okay to clear schedules or say no, and sometimes even like I would cancel my kids' sports trainings and stuff because I was like, I just cannot manage this right now. So I think really looking at your expectations of yourself and being realistic, and if you need rest, because everything looks so much better the next day after you've had a good sleep, doesn't it? Like the
Right.
whole
That is
world
so
looks
true.
different. So it's such a basic need, especially of women. I think we are very good at putting lots of other people first, and I do think that obviously the true saying of that you can't fill from an empty cup, so you have to fill your cup first, and I think we're definitely the worst at doing that. But other things I love, like a bath, giving yourself 5 minutes for a bath. And when the kids were young, a solo bath wasn't realistic, but I used to jam us all in there together when they were little. So I love it. Baby on the stomach, like I just jammed them all in. So the hot water was still soothing. And then you actually, and I hated bath time, except if I was in the bath with them. So sort of simplify your life. What could, like, don't make it as easy for you as possible. Like if you hate bath time, but you don't hate having a bath with them, just have a bath with them every time. Or if you hate, I remember I used to hate the high chair. So I'd sometimes just feed the kids outside and let them get filthy and then hose them off with a hose. Like just
There you go.
simplify and streamline. And do you know what? Sometimes my kids will go to bed and they haven't had a shower. Do you know, like sometimes you've got to choose the lesser of the battles, and your sanity, like
Mhm.
you can't be the perfect parent in inverted commas and stay sane as well. If they haven't had a shower, nothing is going to change. Do you know what I mean? You can give them one in the morning when
Yeah.
you're revived. Like, cut yourself some slack. So the bath is another one. I love to cook. Cooking's like my meditation. So make some beautiful,
Yes.
like whatever I like. Like it's a meditation. The chopping and put music on, and I probably cook 4 dishes at once because that's how I roll. Music, music. Have your
Yes.
playlist. Have your go-to playlist is also another massive one to get me out of a hole. Sunshine, like just sitting in the sun and giving yourself 5. Like it's amazing how quickly you can recharge if you give yourself
It's
the
so
time.
true. It's so true. I keep seeing jokes on social media like, "I was hopeless, but then the sun came out and I'm okay." I
It's
really
true.
like how you brought up, like, sleep, and I think sometimes if we're in a low, then just realizing, like, "Have I eaten today? Have I drank water? Do I need to sleep?" And starting with the basic needs, and then, like, "Do I just wanna relax? Do I wanna do a face mask? Or do I wanna do a hobby? Do I wanna cook dinner tonight?" I think that's a really good place to start. Do you feel like you have, like, a certain ritual daily that you do to, like, balance your personal life, your family life, and your business life?
Definitely not. If you would like to see someone with the least amount of routine in the universe, that would be me.
Wherever the wind
I
takes you.
am so all over the shop. And I did used to work from home, and I've actually got into an office this year because I found I like the flights. I have to trick myself. So I need to physically be away from everything and everyone to create myself the space to get what I need to get done. So I have identified that within myself. So I think too, that's a really big part of life is you've got to really understand yourself and know where you fail yourself so you can put nearly safeguards in place to trick yourself out of it, basically. Like if you know, like, okay, I'm working from home, but I might get a call from the school, so and so is sick, then you're available to go and get them. But if you're at an office over far away, like all of a sudden there has to be creative solutions. Maybe a grandparent gets them. Maybe, do you know what I mean? There's like, you think of other options instead of being so available, because there's only so much you can do. So if you're trying to get a business off the ground, or you're trying to get whatever it is your goal is, look at where you sabotage yourself by letting other values come in. Like my kids are obviously one of my highest priorities. So, but at the same time, there has to be a balance with it, because if you let them sabotage, they're not going to pay any bills, are they?
No.
So you've got to really know where your weak spots are and try and put little defense systems up.
That's great. So as a mom and being a single mom while trying to get your business going, did you have any experiences where you like felt, I guess, like the mom guilt, or felt like, why am I putting so much time towards this? I need to be focusing on my kids, like anything like that?
Definitely. And 100%. And since COVID sort of dissipated a bit, I've started traveling a lot again to get the business growing, etc. And my kids are sort of like, what do you mean you're going away again? What do you mean you're going away again? And so there's 100%, there's a lot of mum guilt. And so, but I'm very open with the kids as well. They all know our goals. They all know what we're working towards together as a unit. And we've all decided on those, that we want that to happen as a unit. So when that happens, I explain, and I sit down and we explain. I'll explain what this trip is for and why that's important for where we're trying to go. And so I think my kids have probably had to grow up a lot faster than a lot of kids their age as well. So now they're 13, 12, and 10. And I think that they definitely understand the why. That doesn't mean they like it, but they can understand they can understand what it's for and where it's going as a family unit.
I love that you involve them.
Yeah.
And I like how you use the term unit, because you guys are a unit. Like families are units, and your decisions to travel and to invest in your business affects them. And I think that's really great. And I imagine that they think that you're a great example to them. So even if they don't like it, they're probably like, well, my mom's so cool. Like, this is what she's doing.
I think it will also give them, I'm not sure if the culture is the same with you, but here we have a real mother martyr culture, like sacrifice everything for the kids, sacrifice my life, sacrifice my time, etc. And I think it's really good for them to see a broader scope of that, so that we can maybe again stop that culture happening with them. I think the Scandinavians do it much better than we do in getting sort of more of an equal share type thing, and and more of a unit, as opposed to this sort of structure we have going on at the moment. So I think it's really good for them to see it from that perspective too, that their time and space is worth something as well.
Yeah, especially because you said you have boys and girls.
Yeah.
Is that what I caught?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's especially important, just to see, like, even though you're a woman, you can still be out there. You can have your career, you can start your business, you can be a mom, you can do all of that. So I think that's a great example.
Definitely. And I would say my son is better at helping around the house than the two girls anyway.
Oh, no way.
What's the order? Is he
He's the
oldest,
baby.
youngest?
He's the baby.
He's the baby.
He's the baby, but
Oh,
he's the one that will be like, right, what do you need, mum? And he's got the vacuum out, he's got the mop out. Like he
Aww.
is the go-to. He's like, right, tell me what I can do to help. So it's really great.
That's so
Yeah.
cute. Do your girls wear Skanties?
Yes, definitely.
They do.
Definitely.
They love them.
Right. And they and especially if it's a hot day or something, and they'll be like, oh, I didn't wear them today, Mum, I got chafe. So I said, well, let's just keep a pair in your school bag always, so in case it gets hot, you can just, or if they have to walk home from school unexpectedly or something like that, I was like, then you've got them there, you can put them on.
Yes.
And then you're protected.
Exactly. That is so perfect. I love that they wear them.
Me too. What are your size ranges? Because I know inclusivity and body positivity is a main mission for your brand. So, what are your size
So
ranges?
we go from an extra small, which I think is about a 2, but probably you could wear them smaller. My
Yeah.
daughter, my middle daughter, has got a heap of really tiny friends. They're all the really tiny 11-year-old, 12-year-olds, and they love them. They think they're the best thing they've ever seen, and they will be wearing them. They even a bit baggy, like shorts on them, and they just think they're so awesome. So it literally can fit any size. We go to about a 22 or 24 US dress size at the moment.
Okay.
So we will look to expand that later down the track, but at the moment we go up to there about that size. So our
I think
2XL is
that's
that size.
okay. Yeah. And I think that's pretty good because most brands will carry like up to an extra large in American sizing. And that I think is very limiting to half the population.
Well, especially for some of the issues that Skanties solve, it's definitely better if you've got chafe. Like there's a lot less size 6s or size 4s that are
Mhm.
getting chafe than maybe size 18s, 20s, etc. So
Mhm.
to be able to provide that is 100% essential nearly. And we will definitely go to the bigger sizes, but I've just got to wait to do a little bit more fabric development, etc. Once we get larger, and I probably need to do a little bit more structure support, etc. So it's a bit
There's
more
so many
structural engineering.
Yes, there's so
Yeah,
many moving pieces with a business.
so many. Do you want to tell everyone like where can they find Skanties? Where can they purchase them?
Yes, definitely. So we're skanties.co. So it's not .com, SKANTIES .co. And we're also on Instagram, Skanties. And we will be on TikTok soon and YouTube to sort of explain a little bit. We're
Exciting.
going to start talking a little bit more about the messaging
Awesome.
and just basically a channel for promoting women feeling good about themselves, really, increasing
Love
confidence.
that.
Love that so
Can
much.
never go wrong with that message.
I agree. And sometimes you just need that. Sometimes you just need that permission that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not have a good, like it's, I think that that's really crucial probably. And as I spoke before about how I've learned to pick myself back up, that I think those little messages to help women pick themselves back up is sort of the key to helping people feel better. It's like, it's all great when you're all up on the high, but what's the little messages when you just need that, that little perspective shift or something
Yeah.
when you're on the low?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like just a little video like that, like just talking about it's okay to not be okay, that can be so much more helpful than you would think. So I think that's exciting. Can't wait to follow you guys.
I know. Some
One,
exciting things coming for you, it sounds like.
definitely.
Susie, do you have anything else you want to add for our listeners about your business or being a mom or life after divorce or anything that's on your mind?
I think I'll just leave you guys with I have a perspective sort of thing I think about, and that is, what would your 80-year-old self say to you? So if you think, how lots of people have been saying, oh, okay, you saw yourself in a photo 10 years before and you looked amazing, but you hated yourself back then. So why don't you, like, now you think you look amazing. So why couldn't you just think you looked amazing then? Like, you keep moving the goalposts all the time. So any question you have, like, ask what your 80-year-old self, it's like, okay, I've got cellulite here, or this uneven skin tone here, or, oh, I've just got the tuck shop arms, just my skin just wobbled. Your 80-year-old self will be like, what are you talking about? You are gorgeous. Stop it right now and go and use
Yep.
that amazing able body that you have to go and do amazing, wonderful things. So, like, the critique we have of ourselves, just think, will that matter when I'm 80? Will it matter? And 99.99%, especially of physical attributes, the answer is definitely not.
I love that.
Great
That is
perspective.
a great perspective. Well, thank you so much, Susie. We will put all of your information in the show notes so that our listeners can find you and can find Skanties. And we're so excited that you could come on the show today.
Oh, thank you, Mackenzie and Haley. It's been so great to chat.